Kestrel Reed first heard the sirens just after dawn. The triple-tone howl of lost ballast. She had been half asleep on the catwalk outside the Ventworks dormitory, dangling her feet over 2,000 meters of empty air, watching the sludge-yellow clouds roil far below. The sirens rose, ugly and insistent, from the direction of Glasshaven District, 3 pontoons away. She sprang up, knocking over her tea mug, and cupped a hand to the pocket radio clipped to her collar. "Ops, this is Reed on Outer Catwalk 7, confirming a 3-tone drop alarm from Glasshaven. Are we in the red?" Crackling static. Then Controller Zhao's voice rasped. "Confirmed. Glasshaven reports a 60-ton deficit. Someone's ripped ballast from their eastern keel within the last hour. Visual instability already at 8%. She's listing port. All districts to high watch." Kestrel's pulse spiked. 60 tons gone meant more than a careless rigger losing a lead ingot overboard. That was a raid. Gravity thieves. She sprinted along the swaying great walkway toward the winch tower. Around her, Ventworks stirred like a hornet nest. Steam jacks hissed as furnaces throttled down. Maintenance crews yanked emergency tethers from storage. Lookouts with electroscopes climbed the mast ladders. Above everything, the city's swarm of weather balloons creaked and groaned in their netting. 50-meter silk giants, stained with grease and sun. If Glasshaven kept falling, the drag of its mooring cables could pull neighboring districts into the toxin clouds below. Clouds dense enough, with chlorine and volcanic nitric vapor, to strip a man's lungs in a breath. By the time Kestrel reached Ops, Zhao had the wall displays lit with holographic telemetry. A pulsing red outline showed Glasshaven's silhouette against the translucent dome of the city's envelope cluster. Its altitude gauge bled downward in jittery steps. "Loss rates accelerating," Kestrel said, pointing at the graph. Zhao grimaced. His beard was wild, gray with engine soot. "They must have ripped out more ballast than we thought. Rail weight, scrap iron, even their counterwater tanks. We don't know. Reports are scattered. Comms lines keep dropping." Saboteurs? Too surgical for amateurs, not brazen enough for the drop guild. Someone knew exactly which keel lockers to hit, and they did it under night fog without tripping the motion beams. He rubbed his eyes. "Ventworks stays where it is, Reed. Glasshaven's on her own. We can't afford to share ballast." "They're neighbors," she snapped before thinking. "If they clip the vapor deck, we'll all get dragged with them." Zhao's look softened, half pity, half apology. "Orders from High Regulus. We're closed loop until the drift passes. Go button your sector." Kestrel saluted stiffly and turned, but anger hummed under her skin. Every district claimed sovereignty, but in truth, the whole city was one organism stitched together by gangways and cables, the way a jellyfish trailed living ribbon. Cut one part loose and the rest bled. Let Glasshaven crash, and the splash could yank Ventworks down like a hooked fish. She descended the spiral to the lower catwalks, thoughts swirling. Gravity theft had risen over the past year. Deep night raids, ballast holds found empty, rival districts plummeting 30, 40 meters before crews patched the deficit. Most times the victims recovered. Twice they hadn't. Those districts were now names said only in mournful whispers, lost beneath the yellow clouds. By late morning, the sun glared white through oily haze. Kestrel's crew, Rook, Danner, and the twins Gita and Garrow, met her on Pylon 32, overlooking the gulf between Ventworks and Glasshaven. Even from 300 meters away, she could hear the creak of overstressed cables. Glasshaven looked sick. Its east pontoon sagged like a broken wing, gondolas hung at a crooked angle, and its balloon cluster quivered as if in pain. Steam tugboats buzzed round her hull, crawling winch cables up to emergency balloons they strung like bandages. "We should be hauling ballast over," Rook muttered. His welding goggles slid down his nose. "If they drop, the crossbeam connecting to us will shear. We'll lose at least 20 meters. Danner spat over the rail. The glob spiraled into the wind, vanishing somewhere between sky and poison. "Talk to the Regulus Council, but don't let them hear you say that." Kestrel chewed her lip. She knew the Council's logic. Ventworks processed the catalyzed ammonia that powered the city's turbines. If Ventworks went down, every district would lose electricity within days. Better to let Glasshaven die than risk the whole. Yet sacrificing neighbors felt like treason to the soul. A distant boom rattled the guardrails. One of Glasshaven's emergency balloons had burst, shredded by overstress. Sailcloth rained down in bright streamers. A new plume of vapor belched from ruptured ducts. The district lurched several meters downward. Sirens wailed again, this time in a despairing minor key. "Hell with waiting," Kestrel said. "We're going over." The twins exchanged glances. Gita's face was a pale oval, all nerves. Garo's bore a reckless grin. "You mean a relief convoy?" "I mean we take what ballast we can spare, lash it to a tug and haul it across. Maybe we can stem their fall long enough for the Council to change its mind." "And if the Council catches us?" Rook asked. "Then we're court-martialed after saving a district. I can live with that." They loaded 40 tons of spare lead ingots, every personal quota they could scavenge, onto the steam tug Kestrel favored for salvage runs. The boat was a rusty beetle with twin stern screws and a forward grapple crane. On its bow, Kestrel had once painted a Kestrel hawk, something wild and fast, though the paint had chipped to ghost outlines. As they cast off, smog winds whipped bitter chemicals across the gap. All of them wore breathers. Even at this altitude, the air was laced with acidic trace. Below, the yellow cloud deck churned in mountainous swells. Every few seconds, lightning crawled inside, silent and blue. They approached Glasshaven's east keel. The scene was chaos. Riggers shouting across tangled winch cables, ballast bay hatches yawning open, empty except for chain hooks swinging. A boy in a red poncho flagged them to the only clear berth. "You're out of your district," he yelled as they tied up. "Bringing ballast," Kestrel answered, thrusting a manifest chip into his glove. 40 tons, grade B lead. His eyes widened, equal parts gratitude and terror. "Council band aid." "We're not Council." Kestrel's crew helped winch the pallet crates from tug deck to ballast rails. Around them, Glasshaven technicians frantically pumped water into emergency tanks, compensation mass to replace the stolen lead. But water sloshed, unreliable in turbulent motion, and Glasshaven pitched again, deck tilting 5 degrees. Danner grabbed a harried rigger by the coat. "Who hit you?" he demanded. "Any sign?" The rigger, a woman with grease-black cheeks, shook her head. "Came in like ghosts, cut our anchor nets and slid down. By the time patrol lights spooled up, the thieves were gone. Took 80 tons from 3 lockers, clean as a butcher cut. 80, not 60. Zhao's intel had been low. Kestrel swallowed. 40 tons from Ventworks was a band-aid on a jugular. "Where did they board?" she asked. "North flight deck. Watch says they had badges from Nimbus Row, but Nimbus swears they were framed." Nimbus Row lay 2 kilometers off, beyond a corridor of weaving balloon chains. Could be true. Gravity thieves often disguised themselves with rival insignia to incite wars. Yet Kestrel sensed a design smarter than political spite. Someone engineering panic to mask bigger motives. Rook finished locking the last crate into Glasshaven's keel. Ask them to log receipt, he told Kestrel quietly. We'll need it when admin audits the missing ingots. But as they turned to depart, another shock reverberated through the hull. Somewhere aft, steel shrieked. The deck buckled, hurling Kestrel against a bulkhead. Sirens shifted to a warbling scream. Structural failure. "Port balloon cluster severed," a voice bellowed through loudhailers. "We are going in." Crew scattered, launching panic across ladders and hatches. Kestrel's chest clenched. Already Glasshaven listed further, cables groaning as gravity bared its claws. If she fell now, even Kestrel's tugboat would be yanked along. "Back to the tug!" she shouted to her crew. They sprinted, boots skidding on oil-slick planks. Acid mist stung exposed skin. Behind them, ballast rails tore free with gunshot bangs, lead crates tumbling out into the abyss. Kestrel's 40 tons vanished in seconds, swallowed by yellow fog. The tug's engine thumped to full as they pushed off. Gita hacked at a fraying moorline with a rigging knife. The line snapped. The tug broke free just as the keel tore away behind them. Ribbed steel twisting like bread dough. For one dizzy moment, Kestrel's stomach floated, lack of inertial anchor, as Glasshaven plunged 10 meters. The mooring bridge connecting her to Ventworks jerked taut. Iron supports bent like matchsticks. She didn't see it snap, but she heard the titanic twang, a harp string of doom vibrating through sky. Glasshaven, bleeding lift, drifted downward at a salvage crew's nightmare pace. Too slow to be immediate death, too fast to stop without massive ballast. Within hours, she would breach the toxin clouds. Kestrel stood on the tug deck, numb, as her crew watched the dying district recede. Rook wiped sweat from his beard. "All that for nothing." "Not for nothing," Kestrel said softly, but her voice trembled. "We know something now. The thieves sabotaged a balloon line. This was more than ballast theft. It was murder." Garrow exhaled. "We tell the council that." "They'll bury it, unless we bring proof." She gazed at the north flight deck of Glasshaven, the reported breach point. It was too late to reboard. Security would be frantic, structure unstable. But she noted the pattern of shredded silk flapping from a broken balloon frame. A precise diagonal slash, edges cauterized. That suggested a cutting torch of rare plasma design, and she knew only one district that manufactured such torches. Ventworks. Rook seemed to follow her thought. "You're not suggesting we have traitors at home," Kestrel said, "or someone using our tech. Either way, the council will disown involvement. We investigate ourselves." They cruised back by dusk, engines muffled. Ventworks looked unchanged, a forest of red rust pylons under vast balloons glowing orange in sunset. Yet, as they entered the harbor, Kestrel felt eyes on them. Authority eyes. Sure enough, 2 watchdog skiffs intercepted, blue lanterns flashing. Captain Ymir of Internal Constabulary hailed them via loudspeaker. "Kestrel Reed, stand down. You are ordered to dock at Gate 5 for inspection." Gita cursed. "They know we ferried ballast." Kestrel cut engine throttle, coasting. "This is Reed. Copy Gate 5. May I ask the grounds?" "Unauthorized departure during red flag." "Understood." She mouthed to her crew. "Erase manifests." Danner slid the chipboard from the tug's nav console and snapped it over his knee, scattering plastic shards. At Gate 5, armed wardens guided them to a corrugated shed smelling of ozone. Captain Ymir, tall and bleached hair slick as fish oil, greeted Kestrel with practiced severity. "You disobeyed direct lockdown. 40 tons of municipal ballast missing from Depot 4. Your signature opened the lockers." Kestrel lifted her chin. I requisitioned surplus to aid a neighbor in distress. It's gone now. Glasshaven is dying. Saying it aloud felt like an accusation. Not our jurisdiction, Ymir replied. Our concern is theft from Ventworks. Thieves from Ventworks indeed, she said pointedly. The same who sabotaged Glasshaven's balloon nets using Ventworks plasma torching. His expression remained iron, yet a flicker. Was it caution? Guilt ticked the muscles around his jaw. Those are grave allegations. I have visual memory uplink, she lied swiftly. Footage of the torch cuts. When I present it to the council, they'll want to trace serial numbers. Captain Ymir gazed at her a long moment, then waved a hand. Detain them pending tribunal. Warden stepped forward. Garrow tensed. Rook's fists balled. Kestrel discreetly touched her wrist transmitter, miniature distress beacon. But instead of Warden seizing them, a concussive thud rocked the shed. Lights flickered, smoke hissed through ventilation grates, emergency klaxons blared. Ymir cursed, drawing a shock baton. What now? The shed's east wall buckled inward as a cargo lifter crashed through, scattering crates. 4 figures in matte black flight suits sprang from the wreckage, wielding grapnel launchers and sonic blades. Kestrel recognized the sleek helmet design. Gravity thieves. They moved with unnerving precision, disabling wardens in seconds. Blades humming at ultrasonic pitch. One slashed the capacitor of the nearest stun rifle, causing it to strobe arcs of blue lightning. The wardens collapsed amid electrical smoke. Ymir lunged, baton crackling. A thief parried, hooking his arm and flipping him onto a decking rail. She injected a stasis dart into his neck. He sagged, unconscious. Kestrel's crew huddled back to back. The leader of the thieves, taller than the rest, visor etched with a silver hawk, strode toward Kestrel. To her shock, the visor retracted, revealing a woman's sunburned face, high-cheeked and sharp. Kestrel knew the face. Mara Quill, former balloon engineer turned outlaw, rumored dead after last year's skirmish at Stormspire. Reed, Mara greeted, voice low, almost affectionate. You always did chase storms. What do you want? Kestrel demanded. Same as you, to keep the city aloft. By crashing districts. Mara's eyes flashed. Glasshaven was compromised weeks ago. Structural decay, corrupt ballast ledgers, council ignoring maintenance requests. They were a collapsing lung threatening the whole body. We accelerated the inevitable, so other districts would see the rot. Kestrel felt ice in her gut. You murdered thousands for a political statement. Statistics, not murder, Mara corrected with chilling calm. We evacuated families to neighboring districts before the strike. Only the councilors remained. Did you notice any civilians in Glasshaven's lower decks today? Kestrel remembered oddly empty streets. Fewer children than normal. Many flats locked. Had they been emptied? Even if you moved some, you can't evacuate everyone. Casualties under 100 last audit, Mara said. Acceptable loss to trigger reform. Who decides what's acceptable? Rook growled. The thieves raised weapons. Mara gestured, shut them down. I propose a pact. Reed, you're respected in Ventworks. Join us. Expose the council. Prevent the city's slow strangulation by greed. You saw Captain Ymir ready to silence you. We fight that. Kestrel's heart hammered. She had dreamed of smashing corruption, but not like this. Ventworks needs stability, not revolution. The revolution's already here, Mara said. Glasshaven falls tonight. Its wreck will yank half the city unless we sever the Moore cables cleanly. We have charges placed, but we need your access codes to Ventworks cable towers. Help us cut loose the corpse, and Ventworks lives. Kestrel's mind reeled. If she refused and Mara failed, Ventworks could be dragged into poison. If she helped, she would doom anyone still aboard Glasshaven and become accomplice to terror. "What if we supply ballast instead?" she asked. "We can still save her." Mara's gaze saddened, as one indulging a child. "There isn't enough lead in the whole city to lift that hulk now. Her envelope tear is fatal." A deep, distant groan vibrated through the skyline. Glasshaven slipping farther. Time shrank. Kestrel weighed nightmare against nightmare. The council had abandoned Glasshaven once already. Ymir's willingness to jail her proved they'd do worse. Cutting the cable might be the only path that didn't end with both districts drowning in chlorine. But she couldn't condone Mara's crusade unchecked. "Fine," she said at last. "I'll give codes to access the East Cable Tower. After severance, my crew and I go free, and you hand over every file you have on council corruption. We broadcast it citywide." Mara considered, then extended a gloved hand. "Deal." As they clasped wrists, Kestrel felt the city's thin air whistle through ruptured windows, a reminder of heights where ethics stretched thin as balloon silk. She prayed the bargain wouldn't damn them all. Mara's thieves exfiltrated with swift efficiency, leaving Kestrel's crew and the unconscious wardens. Garrow checked pulses, all alive. Kestrel found Ymir's data badge and pocketed it, a future bargaining chip. Minutes later, they hurried along maintenance tunnels toward the East Cable Tower. Emergency lights painted the steel ribs crimson. Kestrel transmitted the codes. Mara's team, already staged on exterior scaffolds with shaped charges, acknowledged. A thunderclap cracked the night sky. The first cables blew, shearing in bright arcs. One by one, 12 more lines snapped, whipping back like steel snakes. Sparks rained across ballast domes. Kestrel watched from a porthole as Glasshaven, freed of its tether, drifted away. Wounded Leviathan sliding down the air column toward the toxin ocean. The district's lights twinkled like a sinking constellation until the yellow cloud swallowed it. Silence filled the cavity left behind, a silence deeper than any hymn. Then Ventworks' ballast gauges stabilized. No downward tug, no listing. Kestrel bowed her head. "Gods forgive me." Dawn crept pale through smog. Propaganda netcasts ignited across loudspeakers. Hacked feeds airing files of council kickbacks, maintenance fraud, safety violations. Kestrel recognized them. Mara's trove fused with Ymir's stolen badge. The whole skyborne city listened. Outrage sparked like dry tinder. Within hours, work crews marched on Regulus Hall. Some guard detachments joined them, others fled. No shots fired, yet. Kestrel stood atop the winch tower, the wind cold with loss, and wondered what new world would rise from the wreckage. Ventworks floated lighter, but burdened with guilt. Gravity thieves stalked shadows as both villains and saviors. Rook approached, handing her a cup of bitter tea. "They're calling you the Hawk of the Cut. Rumor says you single-handed severed the cables to save us." She tasted the tea, metallic, comforting. Rumor makes saints of sinners. "What now?" he asked. "We rebuild," she said. "We steer the revolution away from more dead districts." Below them, skyboats ferried survivors from Glasshaven, those who had escaped before the final drop, to provisional shelters. Upwind, new balloons inflated, stitched from whatever cloth was at hand, bright colors against the bruise-gray heavens. And far beneath, the toxin clouds boiled, indifferent, waiting for the next gravity lapse. Kestrel closed her eyes, sensing the subtle sway of Ventworks' deck under her boots. In that motion, she felt the fragility, the wonder, the terrible responsibility of living untethered between poison and stars. She opened her eyes, set her shoulders, and walked down to face the storm she had helped birth, determined to hold the city aloft. Come thieves, come council, come reckoning.